Hello there, adventurers, and welcome to Wally DM. As characters are digging through loot and they come across a tube with a scroll in it, they usually take a look at it and they pass that scroll over to the wizard or other spellcaster. Well, why is that? Well, usually scrolls are either spells or a protection scroll, or every once in a while you get a map. They're not the most exciting magic items. But today I'm going to try to change the way that you look at scrolls. We are going to dig into D&D history and go back to the old basic green book, and we're going to take a look at 10 scrolls that your players are going to want to have. Before we get started, just a reminder, if you've not joined our Discord yet, I highly encourage you to do so. Come on over and hang out with me and a lot of cool folks who know a lot about D&D. And if you're enjoying this type of content, please consider supporting the channel by hitting that subscribe button and buying my PDFs and books on Drive-Thru RPG. First up, we have the Illumination Scroll. Taking a look at this, the scroll will have an image of a flame drawn onto it. Now, if this scroll is set on fire, it's going to burn with a clear light for a 60-foot radius and last for up to 6 hours in a day. Now, the burning does not harm the scroll, but it is nevertheless normal fire. So if we wanted to use the Illumination Scroll to light a torch or a campfire or set something else on fire, then we are more than welcome to do so. Now, the flame cannot be extinguished by water or on command of the user, and any wind, normal or magical, won't even cause it to flicker. So this is a really cool magic item that could replace a torch for a person like a wizard. In fact, I think that'd be really thematic, having a wizard walk around as they're about ready to dungeon delve. They say the command word and their illumination scroll sets on fire, and they're walking around with this burning piece of paper. So the communication scroll. Now this is actually two scrolls that are stored within each other. So when a character opens this up for the first time, there's going to be a second scroll in there. They're easily separated. Now, if a message is written on one scroll, then it's immediately going to appear on the other. And the great thing about this is there is no limit to the range as long as both scrolls are on the same plane of existence. Now, we can write a message up to 100 words in length, and if one message is erased, then the other disappears as well. Now, each message must be erased before another one can be written, and when this happens, there is a 5% chance that erasing the message will destroy both of the scrolls. So this is a really cool magic item for players that love to use the messaging cantrip, with the exception that we're writing on scrolls rather than communicating telepathically, but the range is outrageous. We could communicate with someone in a town, we could be out dungeon delving somewhere, we could be halfway across the world, and as long as someone has that other scroll, we can establish a line of communication. So many great uses for this. Now, if you want to see a scroll that can actually mess up some DM's plans, let's take a look at the mapping scroll. If we take this one and hold it up and command it to write, it will draw a map of everything within 100 feet of the scroll. So if a character is looking at a door, wondering what's on the other side, then this mapping scroll will definitely map it out, show us where any corridors and extra rooms are. Heck, we could even find secret doors. Now, this scroll can only be used once per day, but that's more than enough for an adventurer. Now, if the mapping scroll doesn't mess with the DM's plans, this next one will definitely give away all of the surprises. This is the seeing scroll, and when found, it is also blank, but when held up and commanded to write, it will draw pictures of all creatures within 100 feet. Well, up to 4 different types of creatures within 100 feet. And this scroll will also only function once per day, regardless of the number of creatures pictured. So with the seeing scroll, the adventurers can prevent themselves from being surprised, and they can see what lies ahead and prepare for battle. This next scroll will make going from point A to point B a piece of cake. Now, this is the portal scroll, and when placed on a surface and commanded to function, the scroll will disappear and a 5-foot diameter hole appears, and it will be about 10 feet deep. Now, living or magical things cannot be affected, but this hole can go through walls, piles of rubble, and things of that nature. Now the hole will disappear after 3 turns or when commanded by the reader of the scroll, and when the hole disappears, the scroll reappears, and this scroll can be used twice per day. So if there is a vault or a locked door that you're wanting to get by, all you need to do is put the portal scroll up there, as long as it's not magical or sealed by a 65th level wizard, and you will be able to just bypass that without any key and move on through. Kind of like slapping a portable hole up on the wall and walking through it. Really cool item. Sometimes a character deserves to know the truth even if they can't handle the truth, and that is where the truth scroll comes in. Now, the user of this magical item can ask a question of any living being within 30 feet, and the complete and true answer will appear on the scroll, read straight from the victim's mind by a powerful version of ESP. It is important to note, however, that the answer is true only within the limits of the victim's knowledge. That means if the target of the scroll believes that the sea is green, then it is going to show that they are telling the truth, because that is what they actually believe. Now, this scroll, like many others, can only be used once per day. Speaking of the truth scroll, if you're finding that your characters like to interrogate things, then let's take a look at the questioning scroll. Now, the user of this magical item can ask questions of any non-living, non-magical item. Their answers will appear on the scroll. Now, the answers will be given as if objects were living beings, but they are limited to simple observations such as what they can see, hear, and smell. So for example, if the adventuring party was investigating a crime scene where someone was poisoned, they would be able to ask the wine bottle, hey, who poisoned you? What did they look like? Or things along those lines. This next scroll will come in handy if the characters need to take a long rest in a dangerous area, and that is the trapping scroll. Now, this scroll actually contains one trap, but the trap type differs depending on where they place the scroll. So if the scroll is unfolded and put down on the floor or the ground, then a pit trap is going to be created. If it is put on the ceiling, possibly a fallen block trap appears. If they hang it on the wall, then maybe a poison dart or a gas trap will be created. Now, the exact type of trap is left up to the DM's design, and this trap is very much real. It is not an illusion. It is not magical. But however, once this trap is used, the scroll is destroyed. So again, a very handy magical item for those that are trying to secure their area for a long rest, or maybe trying to guard something that is valuable. Now, this next magic item will definitely bring out the creativity of your players. This is the creation scroll. Now, the user of this scroll can draw a picture of any normal item up to 5 by 10 feet, and the item can be taken off of the scroll and used. Now, magic items cannot be created, nor can any types of living things, but all types of armor, weapons, and any other type of equipment can easily be created. Now, this item will vanish on command of the creator or after 24 hours, and it can be used once per day. Now, a few of the ways I can imagine this scroll being used: why carry a grappling hook or a 10-foot pole when you could just draw one on your scroll and use it that way? Those items are bulky and get in the way of packing all the good stuff. Or perhaps the characters are in an area that does not permit weapons. Well, as long as they have this scroll on them, once they get past security, they'll be able to pull out their scroll, draw a short sword on there, pull it off, and now they have a weapon. So all kinds of cool ways that you could use the creation scroll. Finally, the last magic item I want to share with you is the shelter scroll. Now, this is one of my favorites. It is inscribed with an elaborate drawing of a 10-foot square lit room with 2 beds, a table, and 2 chairs. There's also food and drink for 2 people on the table, a pair of normal swords on the far wall, each hung over a shield. Now, this scroll is hung on any vertical surface the room pictured can be entered and the items used. The food and drink are pure and will nourish any living thing. The swords and shields can be taken down and used, however, none of the items can be removed from the room. If the scroll is taken down, the room cannot be entered or left, but remains in existence on another dimension. If any creatures are in the room when the scroll is taken down, the air inside permits survival for up to 24 hours. Any creatures so caught cannot escape by any means other than a wish. The food and drink are replenished each time the scroll is taken down. The room can be created once per day but will remain for up to 12 hours per use. If not removed in that time, the scroll will fall down by itself. So this, again, is one of my favorite scrolls of all time. Not only can you eat and drink whenever you need to, you just hang the scroll up and enter a nice cozy little room, have yourself some grub, but you can also use this to sneak people around. You could have 2 of your party members enter the scroll, roll it up, the other 2 folks go through, get past people, and then find a place to hang the scroll back up, and the 2 people that are in the scroll come back out. And that's just one of the many ways that you could use this scroll. Definitely let me know your thoughts on this one. How would you use the shelter scroll in your game? So those are 10 scrolls that I really enjoy. And I used to put those in my games as treasure all the time, and the players loved them. And they came up with all kinds of creative ways to use them. So with that being said, what do you think of these scrolls? Is this something from D&D history that you can bring into 5th edition or Pathfinder? Why or why not? And if you like these scrolls, which one is your favorite? Heck, give me your top 3. Which 3 do you like the most? And how would you use these in your game? Looking forward to some great discussion in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and on to the next.